Good evening and welcome to ECISD Live. My name is Scott Muri and I'm the superintendent of Ector County Independent School District. And that little video clip you just saw is going to come to life tonight. Last week, ECISD held our annual State of the District address. It was our first annual because COVID has canceled that event in prior years, but we were excited to bring a group of community leaders together, leaders from across the state of Texas and even the nation, all joining together in the Performing Arts Center on the campus of Odessa High School to receive an update on the state of ECISD. What's happening? How are we doing? What progress are we making on our strategic plan? We presented an evening filled with data and stories. Great storytellers, students of ECISD were involved, staff members of ECISD were involved in it. It presented itself very well to our community, and we're excited to share that with you tonight. We had multiple cameras in the room, all capturing the event, and so for those of you that were unable to join us, we're going to broadcast that for you this evening. And once tonight's broadcast is complete, we will post it on our website so that individuals in the coming days and weeks can have access to that same thing, or you can watch it again yourself. Throughout the evening tonight, we will be live on chat. So if you see something during tonight's presentation of which raises your curiosity, feel free to use the chat session tonight and we'll be responding to your questions throughout the evening on chat. So now it is time. So sit back and relax, grab that favorite beverage. Hopefully you have a nice big bucket of popcorn in front of you and enjoy this year's presentation of the ECISD State of the District event. So RY gets up for breakfast 5 days a week. And sometimes they have breakfast at home, and sometimes we have to feed them at school. RY loves science, loves science experiments. In fact, sometimes RY climbs on top of Odessa High School and gazes through telescopes into the night sky. RY loves homework. Well, not really. But sometimes. But now RY can actually do their homework at home because for the very first time, they have the internet in their house. Who's your Y? RY rides the bus to school most of the time. Sometimes mom or dad or grandparent, or maybe the brother or sister brings RY to school. RY loves Friday nights because you know this is the home of Friday Night Lights. And so you can always find RY at Ratliff Stadium on a Friday night, enjoying that experience. Who's your why? What is your why? Our why is passionate about some things in their life. They're passionate about literature. They love to read. Ever since our why was a little boy, our Y sat on their parents' lap and had stories read to them. And now our Y loves doing that same thing for others. In fact, this week our Y was in an elementary school reading to some of his younger colleagues, his younger peers. Who is your Y? What is your Y? Our Y is incredibly talented. They practice all the time. Well, most of the time. They're trying to get that 10,000 hours, you know, that 10,000 hours that allow you to become an expert. So they practice at night. They practice on the weekend. Sometimes they practice on their own, and sometimes they practice with their peers. Because our Y wants to be great. Who's your Y? What is your Y? Our why loves to learn most of the time. Sometimes our why doesn't have a good day. And our why walks into our classroom and our why says, "Can I talk to you?" And we always say, "Yes." Who's your why? What is your why? This is our why. Now that you're awake, let me take a minute to say welcome. My name is Scott Muri, and I'm the Superintendent of ECISD, and I'm pretty proud of our work. So tonight, we're going to talk about them and their 32,000 peers that were in school today. We're going to tell some stories, we're going to laugh a little bit, maybe we'll shed a few tears, but we're going to talk about Ector County Independent School District and who we are, what we stand for, what we're doing, and how we are growing, and lots of things to share tonight. So thank you for joining us tonight. Some of you are right here. You hopped in your car and drove 5 minutes. In fact, some of you probably walked here. Some of you drove a greater distance. Some of you have flown here. We have guests tonight from the state of Texas, all around, and guests tonight from across the country. So thank all of you for coming in and being a part of this celebration tonight, this opportunity to recognize what we're doing as a school district. We have 3 very special guests sitting on the front row tonight, and they represent our Board of Trustees. The other half of our Board of Trustees tonight they're off learning. We actually, this week, the Texas school boards have a conference this week, and so while half of us are learning, the other half get to enjoy an event tonight. So thank you to our trustees that lead and guide and direct the work that we are doing. And for many of you, again, that are here tonight, we say thank you. from whence you have came. We have lots of staff members here tonight that worked all day today at ECISD and are here to take advantage of this opportunity. So thank you. Let it be a celebration. And speaking of celebrations, we're going to talk a little bit about us tonight. We're old. We may not look 100, but we are 100. 101 years ago, in 1920, there were 7 schools in Ector County. Those 7 schools sat on 7 ranches in Ector County. And around 1920, those ranchers got together and said, you know, we could probably do a better job if we got together and consolidated our effort. And so in 1921, they petitioned the state of Texas, and the governor of the state of Texas at that time signed into law the creation of Ector County Independent School District. And so, happy birthday, ECISD. You look pretty good. And usually when you're 100 and when it's your birthday, people sing to you. I'm not going to ask you to sing tonight, but we have some folks who are going to do that for us. Watch this.
Hi folks, I'm Larry.
I'm Steve.
I'm Rudy. And we're the Gatlin Brothers. We would like to wish the Ector County Independent School District a happy 100th. We are proud sons of Odessa. Happy 100th. God bless. Hope to see you back. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ector County Independent School District 100. Happy birthday to you.
Not everybody can say Gatlin Brothers. Who are we? We've changed a lot in 100 years. We were a one-building schoolhouse, red brick building, 2 stories with a couple hundred kids. Today we are 32,000 students. We sit in 43 schools. We have 4,200 employees. 60% of us are economically disadvantaged. That number has increased 4% in just 1 year. We were 56% economically disadvantaged last year, and this year 60% economically disadvantaged. 78% of us are Hispanic, 15% of us are white, 4% of us are African American, and 3% represent a variety of different ethnic groups. That's who we are as an organization. We've grown and changed a lot in those 100 years. ECI has a vision. Our students, the future. Those kids and some others that you'll meet tonight, and the 32,000 that were in our classrooms today, they represent our future. There's a statistic we talk about in ECISD. In the United States of America, 60% of teachers teach within 25 miles of the high school from which they graduated. Think about that. 60% of teachers in our country work within the high school or around to within 25 miles. That means in ECISD, our students, the future, they are the future teachers, the future administrators. They are the future of not only our organization as a school system, but our community, our city, our county, our state, our nation, and even our world. And it's our responsibility to make sure that they are prepared for their future. So a little history lesson. 2.5 years ago, it's July of 2019. And this team, this 4,200 individuals, some different faces, but we came together in 2019, and the first thing that we faced was a teacher shortage. In fact, at that point, 356 teacher vacancies stared us in the face as we started that year, 2.5 years ago. And that is our reality. On the first day of school, 356 classrooms in our district had a substitute teacher. Welcome to school. I'm your substitute teacher. And that we remained that way for an entire year. 1 month later, and many of us remember this, There's a mass shooting in our community, a trauma experienced by students, by staff members, by family members, by members of our community. We lost lives. We lost one of our students, and many of our community members lost lives and suffered throughout that experience. It traumatized our system, our town, our county, our entire community experienced that loss. Then in March of 2020, another trauma, COVID, hit us all. I'm in Marfa, Texas. My phone rings and it's the Commissioner Murat, and he said, "Hey, Scott, we have a little problem. We're probably going to need to close schools for a few weeks." Well, that devastated to us, but that few weeks turned into a few months. And so that created challenges for us as an organization. So substitute teachers and the trauma of death, the trauma of a mass shooting, and now the trauma of a pandemic. And that pandemic continued, had significant issues in our country. And the headlines at that time read, "The academic situation of our students is grave." We saw headlines from Dallas, Texas that talked about the significant learning loss they experienced. The Texas Education Agency talked about the significant learning losses that we've experienced as a state in both reading and mathematics. Around the country, we saw states releasing data that the federal government talked about what's happening in our nation and how the nation's report card, the NAEP, took a significant decline because of the effects of COVID-19 on children. We were not organized, we were not prepared for that in our system. In fact, none of us were in education around the country. We were not organized to educate kids remotely. We were not organized to educate kids with 356 teacher vacancies. We were not organized to educate kids who have dealt with the trauma of a mass shooting in their community, something children should never have to experience. That wasn't us. But what we had to do was to figure out, how do we respond? Because it happened. There was trauma in our community. It happened. We don't have enough teachers. It happened. COVID-19, a pandemic. So how do we organize ourselves to make sure that we can respond to what's going on? So we did. We responded to a pandemic. For the first time ever, we opened up a child care facility to take care of the children of emergency responders. Our nurses, our doctors were able to send their children to employees in ECISD. Our nurses took on different roles and responsibilities. For the first time ever, our nurses were, in many cases, 24/7, taking care of the needs unlike they had ever done before in our community. We never delivered food to the families of our students in their homes. Why would a school district have to deliver food to a home? Because during the pandemic, when we were closed down, we had children that were not eating. We were their meal source. And so we quickly had to figure out, how do we take food and deliver it to our families? We're not organized to do that. But yet the 4,200 employees of ECISD figured out how to make it happen for their kids, for the 32,000 that we served. And so we organized differently. We also, when we go back to July of 2019, we had issues before the pandemic, issues before the mass shooting. Children were not learning the way that they need and deserve to learn in a public school system. We had to be different. We had to be bold. We had to think differently about how we do our work. And so we developed a strategic plan that challenges us to be different in 3 areas. We had to have a solid foundation. We had to take care of the talent, the 4,200 employees that come to work every day in our organization. How do we build them, edify them, develop them, grow them, retain them, attract them? And then how do we educate our kids differently for the 21st century, for an opportunity that they may have in their life that doesn't even exist today? And so that was our opportunity as a district. Our Board of Trustees established 3 goals for us. They said we must improve student achievement in science, in mathematics, in reading, in English, in social studies. It has to be better. We must go from 32% to 60% proficient by the year 2024. Specifically in reading, they said we must improve grade level mastery from 35 to 45% by 2024. And we have to make sure that our kids are ready for college or post-secondary or the military. Whatever option they choose, our kids have got to be ready for that. And so our Board of Trustees established those goals for us. And then we as an organization developed our own set of measures. We can't wait till 2024 to figure out if we've arrived. We have to measure our progress as we go. And so we developed a set of measures that allow us on an annual basis to monitor our progress, to make sure that we can achieve our goals. But we were also faced with this reality. In the United States of America, 70% of the strategies that we create fail in the business world and in education. And we said that's not an option. We can't create ideas and tactics and strategies for students that fail. So how do we make them work? And so as a part of our strategic plan, we developed a process. We call it the Project Management Oversight Process. Every project that we do in ECISD is tightly managed, and we have a process, again, that guides our tactics and strategies to ensure that they are successful, because that statistic cannot be our statistic. So we're going to change that. We are organized to change that and to ensure that it doesn't happen. And so foundation. You've got to have a solid foundation. Any contractors in the room tonight know and understand the most important part of building any structure is that solid foundation. And we as an organization have to do that.
We worked diligently with our local community, with our state officials, to explore opportunities for our children in ECISD, but also looking to play the long game. Short-term solutions are not just the answer. We need solutions that provide permanent solutions, permanent opportunities for kids, not only in ECISD, but across our state and across our nation. And so we found a unique partner, a partner that is thinking differently about the type of support that we can provide for children. After engaging in deep conversations with this entity and in conversations with Chiefs for Change and conversations with the Permian Strategic Partnership, we are excited to announce today that Ector County ISD will be the first school district in the country to partner with SpaceX to bring their Starlink satellite technology, their internet technology, to families in our community, specifically in families where we are today.
Our reality, 39% of our kids in our community, our families, did not have internet access in their home or had such low quality that it wasn't an option for kids to connect with their teachers, to do their homework. And so that's something we had to address, and so we went to work. We purchased in the last 2.5 years over 37,000 computing devices. Today in ECISD, every single student has a computing device of their own. Every single child, pre-K through 12th grade. Grant money, we went after dollars. We recognized that some of our families could not afford to have internet access in their home. That was one barrier. And so we sought and received dollars to bring into Ector County to ensure that our families that do not have the financial resources to provide that service for their children have that service. And that is a reality today for our families living in poverty. But that wasn't enough, because some of our families live in parts of our community that even if they have the money, it's still not a reality for them. And so we created the Connector Task Force, a group of city and county leaders that have come together to figure out how do we, as a community, solve the broadband problem that exists north, south, east, and west in Ector County. Because every family, every child, from our perspective, deserves to have that opportunity in their homes. So the work that we're doing caught a little bit of attention. In fact, Terry, that you're going to meet in just a minute, it caught so much of his attention that he wrote a book about it. Terry, come and tell us about it. Terry Muri, thank you.
was lucky enough to meet Dr. Muri in a previous life. I'm a technology consultant. I have worked in public sector consulting for about 20 years, the last 10 of which has been in K-12 education. I've worked with a lot of large districts around the country, including yours, some very large urban districts, and I've seen sort of the gamut, the span of different types of technology projects. When the pandemic hit, of course, there was a huge problem to be addressed in this county and a lot of counties. Dr. Muri reached out to my team and reiterated the things he just said. He knew there was a huge problem before the pandemic hit around broadband in folks' homes. He knew that it would need to be addressed, and when schools started shutting down and remote learning was inevitable, the problem had to be framed, the scale had to be understood, and we had to start moving to take action to solve it. We were more than happy to help with that. As Dr. Muri said, we went through a number of phases of gathering data, survey data, looking at maps of coverage and where around the county services were provided. Dr. Muri, of course, and Dr. Wilkes wanted to know where there was coverage, where there wasn't coverage, and what families had internet service in their home and what families did not, and where did they live. All of this was data that does not exist anywhere, unfortunately. You can't Google how many people have internet service in West Odessa, and it doesn't quite work that way, so we had to set out to gather our own data and to really validate it, and I think we were able to do that. We found out that 39% of families did not have a reliable connection through all that data gathering, and we were able to map specific neighborhoods that really did not seem to have any connection, and those communities, those neighborhoods have essentially been targeted with the Starlink service. We can try and get the Starlink service out to a lot of those places that just don't have anything. I did not set out to write a book. As I said, I'm a consultant, and we were sort of brought in to help solve or define the problem. My face is really big. I actually sat down one day to write a blog post, and blog post like 500, 600 words, and I wanted to tell some sort of a story about this great stuff that's been going on here. And I wrote an intro, and I just kept writing, and it was 3 or 4 pages, and before I realized it, and I was like, this is not a blog post anymore, so I didn't know what to do exactly. I was like, maybe I should try to make it into a book, and I kept writing a little bit at a time, and I was like, geez, I should really discuss this with Dr. Muri, see if he thinks it's a good idea. And I actually was a little nervous. I actually wasn't sure what he was going to say. I could have seen him going both ways, thinking maybe it was a terrible idea, or thinking it was great. And I decided that what I would do to approach him is I would talk to him about my whys. Why I felt like this book should be written. I had a few whys. I mean, one was to showcase the amazing things that had happened. He just talked you through the amazing things that had happened that the school district had done during the pandemic. Another thing I thought would be important was weaving the story of Ector County into the national story of folks who were in similar situations, and what were they going through, how were they solving problems, and that would just be informative to all of us. And then the third thing was I wanted the book to be instructive potentially to other community members, other community leaders, around the state, around the country, mayors, superintendents, any kind of community leader who might be facing this situation, who might not know what to do with their constituents that might not have broadband in their homes. And I knew that third point was still in mind. I knew Dr. Muri enough to be like, he's gonna love that idea of sharing knowledge with his peers and getting them out there to help people, and I was right. Sure enough, I think that's what sold him and made him say, okay, go for it. But I still wasn't sure if I could do it, and eventually I just sort of persevered, and I was really happy with the outcome, and I hope it's something that you all can be proud of as well. I was out this afternoon at an installation of Starlink at someone's home in West Odessa, and this family did not have internet in their home ever. It would be the first time that they would. They had a cell phone. The gentleman had a cell phone, and I asked him to take a speed test of what kind of service he was getting on his cell phone. And a speed test is you can go to speedtest.net and take a test. It tells you how much download speed you have, basically how fast your service is. He did it. It was about 6 on his phone, which is kind of 6 megabits per second is not fast, as you all probably know. We go through the installation. These guys, electrician guys who have been setting up the Starlink service for a lot of these families were just amazing. They got it set up really fast. The service was up and running kind of in minutes. It was pretty impressive. And we asked him to take another speed test once he was connected to the Wi-Fi. And he went on his browser, or he connected to Wi-Fi, he went to his browser, went to speedtest.net, did it. It was 186 megabits per second. And he just kept looking at his phone. And he was sort of smiling, and he was sort of like shaking his head. And he kind of just kept looking at it, and he looked up at us eventually, and I think there was watery eyes, and he just said, "Thank you," in the most sincere tone I have ever heard in my life. He looked deeply into our eyes and said, "Thank you." And he said a few things about he was thankful for his children. He said a few things about never being able to buy my kids an Xbox because we didn't have Wi-Fi, and he sort of trailed off. And I knew he was talking about more than an Xbox. He was talking about all this amazing opportunity he would now have. And so I think this book is, I'll wrap it up. I think this book is sort of an origin story. I don't know if you know origin stories, that in superhero comic book, they're kind of big in movies when superheroes are first getting started. I think that's what this book is. It's the beginning of y'all's journey to a more connected community, a more prosperous community, because you're investing and you're deciding to take this road to invest in your infrastructure in a very intelligent way, I think. And so that's why I wanted to write the book. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So not only is the work that you're doing helping kids in our system, but actually it's an opportunity to help the United States of America and beyond kind of figure out how to do the work so that you can understand it. When you leave tonight, everybody's going to get a copy of the book. You can pick it up as you leave. So you can read your story. This is our story of the work that's happening in our community. And so be proud that your work is shaping not only what's happening in our own community, but communities across the United States that need to do the same thing. So foundational. Internet in the home is foundational to our kids. So is eating. Ector County ISD now serves breakfast and lunch every day to every kid, regardless of their financial status, because we know that every child has to have sustenance in order to learn. Food is a necessary essential for our kids, and we do that every day for every child. We will serve 6,200,000 meals to the students at ECISD, breakfast to lunch. That's a lot of food that our folks will go through. Dollars, we have an energy efficiency and energy management program. Over the last 2.5 years, we've saved our district $4.5 million. It's money that can be reinvested into the work that we're doing in our classroom. And that's just by simply being smart and efficient about the way we operate our facilities in ECISD, $4.5 million in 2.5 years. We've just added GPS devices to our transportation, 140 buses in ECISD now. Each bus has a GPS indicator that allows us to be more effective and efficient with our transportation. Mom and Dad, hold on tight. Soon you will know where your bus is and how quickly it will arrive at your child's bus stop coming to you. We're excited about those effectiveness and efficiency opportunities for transportation at ECISD, what that means for families. Again, transportation is foundational in our organization. Finances. We've had consistently clean financial audits for years in ECISD. In fact, the last 2 years alone, we've had perfect ratings, a perfect score of 100 from the Texas Education Agency and their financial rating system. Our bond process, because of the work that's happened over the last 2.5 years, last year, our bond rating increased.
So we will now have bonds, we'll be able to sell them at a higher price, making more money, more opportunities for ECISD. So that bond rating increase happened because of the good stewardship of this system. In fact, over the last 2 years, we've saved taxpayers in Ector County $19 million because we've been able to pay off early some of our bonds. Much like some of you may pay off your mortgage early or make those extra payments, we've been able to do that for the last 2.5 years, saving $19 million. So good stewards of of our taxpayer dollars at ECISD. Speaking of bonds, 2 weeks ago, the Board of Trustees at ECISD called a bond. We have a bond election coming up, May 7th of 2022. The bond contains 2 propositions. Proposition A will take care of the maintenance and life cycle repairs for our facilities. 43 campuses at ECISD, each of those facilities needs additional maintenance and repair to make sure that they stay in good condition for our students. The second one is a new career and technical education facility for our secondary students so that they can have more advanced opportunities in career and technical education programming. The third is technology upgrades for every classroom in ECISD. Every classroom, every auditorium, every large room space will be impacted by that portion of the bond. And finally, the construction, Proposition B, is the construction of a new high school. Specifically, we have 5 high schools at ECISD, 3 small high schools with approximately 400 students each. They're at capacity, and then 2 large high schools, Permian and Odessa, that are at approximately 4,000 students each, and they were not designed for 4,000 students. They are significantly over their capacity. And that's a story for which many of you may know. The piece you may not know is how that affects our teachers. So between Odessa High School and Permian High School, we currently have 38 teachers that do not have classrooms. When they arrive at work every day, they walk to a cart, they put their stuff on a cart, and then they roll that cart to a classroom in their buildings, a vacant classroom during a period. So they are transitioning all day long. That's 38 teachers in our system. Every time we hire a teacher at Permian and Odessa, congratulations, here's your cart. And that is our reality today. And so yes, we have too many students, but we also have the adult issue as well. We've got to have a space for our kids. We don't do this work alone in ECISD. Part of the foundation is working together with others. These are a few of the many partners that we have. Many of these folks are seated in the room tonight. They come from our local community. They come from throughout the state of Texas. They come from around the country. People that are investing in ECISD, people that believe in the work that we are doing with children, people that want us to do better, people that support the initiatives and programs that we are doing. And we're very proud of these and the many other partners that we have to do this work. In fact, to show you how much these folks believe in the work that we're doing, that dollar amount. In the last 2.5 years, we've received $49 million, actually over $49 million in grant money from a variety of philanthropic and business organizations in our own community, throughout the state of Texas, and throughout the nation. That's a lot of money in just 2.5 years. It takes that kind of money to do the kind of work that we have to do for the kids that we serve. Again, we do not do this work together, and we are incredibly grateful for the many partners that we have that walk side by side with us to help us accomplish great things for our body. What do we use that money for? As you can see, it's a pretty busy list. There's a lot of investments that we make with our adults, with our teachers, with our leaders, with our students, opportunities for kids, things that they touch, things that they feel. The internet access that Terry just talked about is also philanthropically funded. Incredible opportunities are made available because of the generous donations and friendships and partnerships that we've developed. And as you can see, that's just a small list of the many investments that have been made over the last 2.5 years. Another important part of the foundation is the feelings of our children. When you come to school in the morning, you certainly have to have food. A good breakfast is important. But if you're not feeling well, and if you're not having a good day, that math lesson may come pretty hard to you. And so we've learned a lot through the pandemic about social and emotional learning. And it really started for us during the mass shooting.
we recognized very quickly how we've got to respond to the trauma that occurs in the lives of our children and our families. And during the pandemic, it became even more prevalent throughout our community. And so our teachers, our administrators, our support staff members had to be very responsive to that. And they did some amazing work to make sure that our kids were well taken care of. But it wasn't easy. And so about a year and a half ago, we partnered with the New York Times. They were curious as to how we were helping our kids navigate this pandemic. And so they created a podcast. In fact, this podcast in 2021 was the 20th most popular podcast in the world from the New York Times. So it obviously got a lot of attention from people because it told very powerful stories of what was happening in the lives of our teachers, in the lives of our students, and the lives of our families. Listen to this. This is a conversation between the producer, the New York Times producer, and one of our teachers. And the teacher had given her students a prompt, and it was really simple. How are you doing? How are you doing? Because she just wanted to know how they're doing today. And this is what happened.
Are you there? Yes, I am. Okay. Is that something you can talk to the teacher about?
Naomi's classes were filled with silence. And with many of her students joining remotely, she had little idea what was going on for them on the other side of the screen. So she had started sending out a Google form, asking them to write in how they were doing, what she was calling a wellness check. And we asked her to read some of their responses.
Okay, I'm doing fine today, not good or bad, just fine. Honestly, I'm so tired physically and mentally. I wake up and it's the same stuff every day. I wake up, turn on my computer, go to all my classes, eat, more class, then it's time for homework. Like, it's so tiring. I'm so unmotivated and my grades are showing that. I'm very stressed out right now. Now my dad got a call today saying he has to go to court because of my attendance this year. I'm a very good kid and never do anything bad. So it's upsetting me because I feel like I disappointed my dad. Life just sucks. Like, it's boring and sad and lonely. And then like this about wearing masks like helps because I don't have to be fake smiling everywhere I go. I'm just tired, didn't feel like getting out of bed today, but still did. I'm okay, not great. Wow, I just have 2 more and I couldn't even get through them. And, okay. I'm okay, not great. I don't think I'll ever be great, but I'm trying. Just trying to clear my mind and heal myself from everything that's going on personally. I'm so sorry. And I don't even know why these made me cry. Okay. I'm glad I'm doing this. It's just, they're going through so much. We all are, I guess.
The trauma of our students is real and continues to be real even today. I wear a mask because I don't want people to see my face and see that I'm not smiling. Think about that for a minute. Those are our children. So we had to be responsive. In the last 2.5 years, we've added additional social workers. We've added case managers to take care of the family situations that our students are dealing with. And then we purchased and provided pre-K through 12th grade a social emotional learning curriculum because we realized we've got to equip our students with the tools necessary to deal with the trauma that exists in their life. Well, right now we might be dealing with a pandemic, but our kids deal with divorce, they deal with hunger, they deal with poverty, they deal with, and the list goes on. And those are daily traumas. And so our kids have got to be equipped with the tools and resources to know how to deal with trauma when it occurs in our lives. But one of the most powerful things that we do as educators is all about relationships. Our kids have got to have powerful relationships. Teachers develop powerful relationships with students. Relationships are critically important. If you reflect back for a minute, that teacher, that person at school that you connected with, our kids need those individuals in our lives, and so we invest deeply in ensuring that our kids have those relationships. And when a student and a teacher develop that healthy relationship, magic happens in the lives of children. Let me show you a little bit of that magic. Sam Weeks. Sam, come and join us. So Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being with us tonight. Relationships. Have you had any teachers, coaches, administrators, folks in your school career that have been important to you?
100%. It's those relationships that got me and a lot of the friends that I've worked with over the past couple of years through this pandemic. Being involved in things at school, having teachers who reach out to us, who understand what we were going through on a day-to-day, and having peers who were doing music with me, doing theater with me, a lot of the things that I get to do, a lot of those teachers, a lot of those coaches, mentors, they really stepped up to the plate, and having those people, even if it was just a few at a time, was definitely what got me and a lot of my peers through the pandemic, through some of the really bad days. Yeah.
Sam is a magician. Not the kind you think. But Sam, you're a magician. And I want you to show this audience the kind of magic that you perform, because to me, it is incredible. They're all yours, Sam. That's a different kind of magic right there. And that happens because teachers, coaches, administrators, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, adults in the lives of our children nourish and nurture that. And when we do that with our children, wow, awesome, they can perform magic. So thank you, Sam, that was amazing. By the way, what Sam was playing on in that $49.5 million, we have 4 of those Steinway grand pianos that were donated to ECISD so that our magicians today and tomorrow can have opportunities like that. Isn't that amazing? Let's talk about the adults. second part of our strategic plan is about adults. We have 4,200 staff members in ECISD that must receive investments. Teacher vacancies. 2.5 years ago, how many vacancies did we have? 356. We remember that number. That's where we started 2.5 years ago. Today, literally this is today, March 3rd, in ECISD, we have 51. That doesn't happen accidentally, that happens with intentionality. That's good work. It's still 51 too many, but it is not 356. So investing in teachers, some things. 4.5 years ago, the starting teacher salary at ECISD was $44,000. Today it is $57,000, a $13,000 increase in the salaries of our teachers. That makes a difference. It helps us attract, recruit, retain good folks for our kids. The National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. We know board-certified doctors, board-certified attorneys in the United States of America. We have board-certified teachers. Today, we received, not today, 2 years ago, we received a $2 million grant from the Permian Strategic Partnership, an investment in our teachers to pay for as many teachers as we can to become board-certified teachers. Today at ECISD, we have 56 teachers that are on the pathway to become a national board-certified teachers. And if they earn their certification, they will earn an additional $9,000 from the state of Texas as a part of their daily compensation. So another way that we are coaching and supporting and nurturing the talent that serves our children every single day. In fact, tonight we invited those teachers to be with us. And so if you're a national board-certified teacher, this applause is for you. So let's give them a applause. Teacher incentive allotment. Ector County ISD is one of the only districts, actually right now, the only district in our region that will provide this opportunity for teachers. We have 119 teachers in Ector County ISD that have qualified to receive the teacher incentive allotment. In the month of May, they'll receive a check from ECISD ranging from between $3,300 up to $22,000. For the first time ever in the history of our district, we will have a teacher in our district that will make over $100,000 simply because they're a great teacher serving children in the classroom. And that will happen this year. We have 17 schools participating in a program called Opportunity Culture. It provides an opportunity for teachers to spread their wings a little bit. I want to teach part-time, but I also want to lead and coach my peers. And today at ECISD, 17 schools, 59 teachers that are impacting over 14,000 students through this experience. Oh, and by the way, these teachers can earn up to an additional $17,000 in compensation. And so why would we want to invest in this? This is why. Because those teachers, those 56 individuals that are in our organization, when we look at these data, we worked with Texas Tech University, again, one of our partners, that is studying our work in opportunity culture. They came to our board of trustees this summer and they said, trustees, we've been researchers for 30 years and we've never conducted research like this before. Normally, we're supposed to give you the bad news. We're supposed to find the bad. But in this initiative, there is none. We can't find any. And these data are why. Because our teachers that are a part of this program are doing exceptional work with our students. The graph that you're looking at is the amount of growth that students receive in both reading and mathematics. Those 14,000 kids that are working with these teachers, they're growing above and beyond their peers in other environments. And I want you to meet 2 of those folks tonight. Ladies, come on in. Sheila Wilson, Dana Batten, thank you for joining us tonight. These 2 ladies work at Ross Elementary School and they're part of our Opportunity Culture program. They are Opportunity Culture teachers. We call them, in our language, NCOs. But we're going to call them tonight just amazing teachers. Thanks, ladies, for joining us. So, for the audience, what is Opportunity Culture?
Opportunity Culture is an innovative staffing model which extends the reach of effective teachers by allowing them to
So Dana, typical day for you. Typical day.
So, like she said, we teach half a day, so we're in our classrooms teaching our own students, and then we get time to coach, observe new teachers, and typically just provide that support. So, when I think back to being a new teacher, I wish I would have had that coach to provide that in-the-moment feedback for me so I could be, more effective faster. So, we are also, like I said, coaching teachers and as well as teaching our own students, so we're extending their reach every day.
Dana, what grade do you teach?
I teach 4th and 5th grade.
So you coach teachers that are in what grade?
4th grade.
So 4th grade, so that is your team. Sheila, what have you seen the differences that this made? You've been a part of this program for how long?
This is my second year.
Second year.
I've seen, just from last year at the beginning of the school year when I got to Ross, I've seen a shift in student behavior. Most of what has occurred has been witnessed by teachers that were there before that when I got there. And so we've heard things like discipline referrals are way down, engagement is up, the morale on the campus, our school culture is just so positive. So we've heard from staff members who were there before we got there, just there's a drastic difference.
So Dana, not only morale and the culture and climate of the campus are different, but any other differences that you're seeing?
I just think overall that everyone is there for the right reasons. We come to work every day with that energy, just ready to teach kids and just get that motivation going. So overall opportunity culture has definitely impacted Ross at Liberty.
There's a picture that we have on the screen right now that everybody's looking at, and they can see you. You got somebody standing beside you. Who is that?
Commissioner Mike Morale.
Yeah, so the commissioner came to visit you. Why did he come to Ross Elementary School?
He was interested in learning more about opportunity culture, so we had that moment where we showed him our day and what we do. A very nervous moment, but I think it was great for him to see our work.
Yeah, absolutely. Nervous, but he was highly complimentary. Sheila, you teach math. Any differences between your kids' performance a couple of years ago and then your kids today?
Yes, our kids at Ross have grown, and as a teacher, there's not much more rewarding than that.
They're not telling you, well, I'll tell you. When you look at the academic results that are happening with these two ladies, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. So if I had a kid and I was going to put them in school, this is where I would want them. You two ladies are amazing. And what's happening to the kids at Ross Elementary because of your work and the work of your colleagues is inspiring. And the kids at Ross Elementary are incredibly fortunate to have you as their teacher every single day. And their other teachers are fortunate to have you as coaches. So thanks, ladies, for what you do. You're making a powerful impact on kids in our system. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Pipelines. If somebody was going to talk to you in the city of Odessa or Ector County about pipelines, we probably our mind goes to one place. But when we talk about pipelines at ECISD, we think differently. We have a bunch of pipelines. In our pipelines, we grow teachers and we grow leaders. And several of these you see here. Ector County ISD is one of 3 districts in the state of Texas, and we're in pretty good company. Houston, Dallas, and Ector County ISD, we're the 3. We certify our own teachers. We grow and develop teachers at ECISD, and then we have the ability to certify them in our own organizations. And only 3 districts in the state of Texas have that ability, and we are one of the 3 that does that. Our program was approved by the state board last year, and now it is fully effective, and we've got teachers flowing through that that will eventually end up at our classrooms. We go down into our high schools. We are searching for and finding students that are interested in becoming teachers at the high school level, identifying them, cultivating them, developing them through career and technical education pathways. They receive free courses throughout their high school through those CTE opportunities, and they can enter the college environment here in our own community. Way before we started, Odessa Community or Odessa College and UTPB came together and said, hey, ECISD, what can we do for you? And we said, well, we need teachers. They said, yeah, we know. We have an idea. And literally, right as I came in, these two got together, and there was a press conference announcing a pipeline. A graduate from ECISD, a high school graduate, can go to college for 3 years, and on the other side, they have a teaching certificate and a bachelor's degree. So thank you, OC and UTPB, for that collaboration. And then 3 opportunities partnering with Texas Tech University to grow leaders in our organization as well. Today we have a
fully paid apprentices that are scholarships. So they work full-time with some of our very best principals at ECISD to learn the craft so that they can lead in our organization. And the final part of our strategic plan is about our why, our kiddos. We've done quite a bit for them. We've increased over the last 2.5 years the number of days that they're in school. 2.5 years ago, school was 169 student days. Our kids now go to school for 180 days, so 11 more days of instruction for kids in ECISD. We've completely redesigned and reinvented our summer program. Some of you may remember that thing called summer school that research said was never effective, but yet we continue to do that organizationally. We were designed for that. We changed it. We eliminated traditional summer school and recreated that summer experience. And what happened? We now, this past summer, served 5,400 students in that program. From 2,000 to 5,400 in a summer learning experience. Elementary, middle school, and high school. We've expanded pre-K. 2.5 years ago, our pre-K program for 4-year-olds was half a day. Today, we have a full-day pre-K program. Added that last year, and then this year we started a pre-K program in conjunction with the YMCA that we now serve 3-year-olds in ECISD. And you want to see something magical about that? Look at this. Last year, we started full-day pre-K. This year, those students are now in kindergarten. And what happened? What happened was the level of preparedness of our kindergartners increased by 13 percentage points. That's dramatic. So kudos to pre-K or pre-K teachers for investing deeply in that experience. Thank you to our trustees for wisely spending and investing their dollars in early childhood education, because that is clear evidence. It made a powerful difference in our kids as they enter kindergarten. We now have 13% more of our students that are ready to begin their academic journey. We've expanded student experiences for kids. We've added some interesting courses. How many of you had geoscience or neuroscience during your high school tenure? Kids at ECISD now have that opportunity today, and we've added those courses in the last 2.5 years. We've renovated a space literally right across the street. There's an observatory on the very top of Odessa High School. We outfitted it with brand new telescopes. Again, part of that grant money that you saw renovated that entire facility for our students, as well as we've added a planetarium. Not just for the students here, but every student at ECISD has access through field trips to those facilities now. And again, all of that was grant funded. We thank you for those that have invested. School choice, giving choices and options for parents and families. Montessori options for our kids. We've expanded that to those. We've added 6th grade this year to our Montessori program. Dual language also goes through 6th grade. STEM and STEAM options, multiple schools provide that for children, and our International Baccalaureate program, which actually exists right here on this campus. And shortly you'll hear about some expansion opportunities as we think about choices and options at ECISD. So listen closely to what's coming over the next several months. We recognize that we've lost some kids along the way. We have kids that as they travel through high school, they just didn't make it, and they left us. And so we've now partnered with an organization called Acceleration Academies. And we're going after those kids, and we're bringing them back. And we're going to provide an academic experience for them, and they will be able to graduate from their high school. And so that is a new partnership. In fact, they just set up shop this month. And so that opportunity began to happen. Again, going after those kids that have left us already, those dropouts, we will recover them, bring them back, and make sure that they have something. Of the students at ECISD, after they graduate from high school, they are post-secondary bound, but we recognize that not all of our students have support as they enter the post-secondary world. We've created an organization, a department within ECISD that now supports those kids, and we call it our To and Through initiative. Adults in ECISD can reach out to our high school graduates to make sure that they have the support that they need to successfully navigate a 2-year program, a 4-year program, or a technical school. Blended learning, virtual tutoring, 2 new initiatives in ECISD, and rather than hear them from me,
We've got a couple of principals using this, so you guys feel good about meeting two of our basic principals. Anthony Garcia, Principal Wilson Young Middle School. How are you doing this season? Good. Blended learning. Kind of a new phrase for some of us. What is blended learning?
It's a correlation between teacher-led instruction and technology. What it does is it gives students an opportunity to choose their learning path. As we know, not everybody learns the same, including us adults. So what this does, it gives students an opportunity to learn at their need. So it helps them to grow academically.
You've been doing this how long? Wilson Young?
It's our first year.
First school year?
First school year implementation.
What's happening on your campus because of this season?
Well, what we're noticing is an increase in, we base everything on data. We took an assessment in the spring, and on that assessment, compared to last year, we had a 30% increase in growth, student growth, from a 30% to a 59.54% student growth. So that shows us that what we're doing is working. What's happening in the classroom is real evidence. The level of engagement between students and teachers, going to a classroom and seeing students engaged and excited about learning, that's the real evidence. Because kids want to come to school. The attendance rate is better, the culture is better, teachers are excited, teachers want to be in the classroom.
So for people who want to be there at the middle school level, that's inspiring. That's magical. Sometimes you never do this. And you talked about that growth. The difference between the 30s and the 50s is significant when we think about kids and academic improvement. So good stuff. Congratulations. Ms. Russell.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good, good. Virtual tutoring. So the kids at Travis Elementary have really not had that experience in their history, have they?
Right.
Kind of a new experience. The pandemic has told us that a lot of our kids struggled academically during the pandemic, and so we've been able to provide some opportunities for kids. But one of those things that is most effective is one-on-one tutoring.
Absolutely. One-on-one tutoring, which we can't hire. We can't hire all those teachers for one-on-one tutoring, so how do we find those one-on-one tutoring?
So what did you do?
Well, thankfully, we connected and used our federal money, our ESSER money, federal money to go out and find companies who are good at hiring tutors in New York, Chicago, LA, that can come online at any time with my students, with my 4th and 5th graders. So we're able to knock down that barrier. I was able to pull 50 of my students into after-school tutoring, invited them. I had parents lining up. I had wait lists of parents that wanted their students to have this opportunity. So 50 of my kids were able to get this one-on-one tutoring.
So you have 50 students at Travis Elementary that have one-on-one tutors.
Yes.
Today. So in Ector County ISD, we have 6,000 students, elementary, middle school, and high school, that have one-on-one tutors because of this virtual opportunity. And again, I'm going to flip the slide because there's something impressive, actually, two things that are impressive on this slide. And these are really your results, what's happening on your campus because of the tutoring. You want to tell us what that is?
Right, so a huge thing that we noticed is that out of my 50 kids that had this 1 hour, 4 times a week, tutoring after school, with the after-school snack, thank you, nutrition department. We saw in their scores that these students outperformed my entire campus by over 30%. So that's a great return on that investment.
So kids that have this tutoring outperformed by 30%. Kids that did not have the tutoring.
Correct.
And then there's 88 up there.
88% of the students tutored hit their math growth. So teachers, you know that's huge if you're out there. So the growth that we set for our kids to go from beginning of the year to middle of the year, 88%. So almost 9 out of 10 students met that growth by middle of the year. And that makes the principal jump up and down and do the happy dance.
It makes the superintendent happy to know. Your students have what percent poverty?
My poverty rate is about the third in the district, is 86%.
So 86% of students at Travis Elementary live in poverty. So to put in context those numbers that you see on the screen, they may not be much, but I can tell you what's happening at Travis Elementary because of what she's doing. Those kids
she is closing gaps for those children. Those kids, those children will have an opportunity to catch up to their peers that do not live in poverty. And if this rate continues, they will far surpass their peers that do not live in poverty. And those kids are on their way to success.
And that builds equity. Thank you school board members, thank you Dr. Lyons and your team that said, hey, do you want to use this money for this? I said, when can we start? So thank you for knocking down that barrier. I wish we could do more. And I think the proof is that the community wants to do more. They're investing in this, and these are great results that we're able to brag about.
Incredible. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you. Good work. And there's more. In Ector County ISD, from last year to this year, our SAT scores, the SAT scores for high school students increased by 40 points. In 1 year, 40 points. That's amazing. So kudos to the teachers and administrators who support our students. And the question we often get is, yeah, that's good, but how does that compare to the rest of the state? Look at this. Oh my goodness. Look at the state part over there. We're at a board meeting a few months ago, and we presented our SAT data to our trustees, and Donna Smith looked at me, and she's here tonight, and she said, Dr. Muri, I don't ever remember a superintendent presenting data at a board meeting in which they said, we're higher than the state. So, yes, you're right, we are. Congratulations to our students. When we look at overall academic areas, this is English, math, science, social studies. From last year to this year, 23% of our subgroup populations, special ed, English learners, our students of poverty, etc., the subgroups that we serve, 23% of those subgroups were performing at the same level or better than their peers across the state. This year, in 1 year alone, we went from 23% performing at or better to 33% at or better. Elementary school, at the high school level, we want our kids to be ready for a post-secondary experience. In the state of Texas, we call it college, career, military readiness. These bars indicate, the green bar is the state of Texas. The yellow bar is the region. We're part of Region 18 in West Texas. And the bar on the right is ECISD. What you'll notice is this year, compared to last year, we made a 7% increase in our college, career, military readiness level. We are now above the region, and we are now tied with the state of Texas as we think about post-secondary readiness. What that says to us is our students in ECISD coming from our high schools are just as prepared as every other student in the state of Texas. So congratulations to the teachers and administrators that did that. That's our graduation rate. That is the highest graduation rate in over 20 years. The highest graduation rate in over 20 years in Ector County ISD. Again, congratulations to those individuals that have invested deeply in our children, because those investments in that incredibly hard work, even during a pandemic, is absolutely paying off. That's magic. And oh yeah, our kindergarten readiness. You know, it all starts with those little kids. It's all what you need. You want to come up? Have a conversation? I'll do it on the couch. All right, guys. So what grade are you in? You're a kindergartner. Yes, sir. How old were you when you started in Ector County Independent School District? Do you remember how old you were? You remember? I don't know. When you started out of school, you started in what school? You remember how old you were? So when you were 4 years old, well, she told me, she said when we were 6 months old. You remember when we were 6 months old? She does. And she said when we were 6 months old, that's actually when you started going to child care at Ector County Independent School District. So we've been taking care of you because you're responsible. And so we started teaching. So when we were 6 months old, we started taking care of you. And then when we were 4, we went to the pre-K. Remember that last year? Yeah. And then now you are in kindergarten. What school do you go to? Untitled Chapter. Yeah. And you see kind of a big arrow over there. See that arrow? And you're in that arrow. Because that arrow means that you and all of the other kindergartners are pretty pro. What your pre-K teacher did with you last year is amazing. And you're kind of one of those arrows. Kind of like the kid that played the piano with her, those drummers that were up here a while ago. Pretty amazing. Kai, your school district is getting ready for you. We're glad that you're here. And we're working hard every single day to make sure that you can be better and better and better. At our high schools, today our graduation rate is 84.7%, but when you get to high school, I guarantee, it's going to be about 90. That's what it is. When you get to middle school, you're going to have some incredible choices and options coming your way. Do you like to go to school? Well, we're glad you like to go to school because your school district serves you every single day. And the 32,000 people that come to school with you. And your school district is ready for you. But we're not where we need to be. We still have a lot of work to do. But let me tell you, we're on fire right now. We're excited. We're doing some good work. Well, we're ready. It's going to always be staring at you. Anything you want to say to them? What's your favorite thing to do at school?
Math and what I used to do math because I used to do so we have to do
Look at there. Sing math is your favorite subject like that? Are you sure? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 30,000 guys, all different shapes and sizes. All different ages, with all different backgrounds. And we owe it to him and his many friends a high-quality academic experience. They deserve to be successful. And you've seen a small snippet of what we're doing to make sure that we're ready for him and that he's successful as he journeys through ECISD. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for the investments that have been made in our district partners that are with us tonight. Thank you for partnering with us. Thank you to our teachers that are here tonight, our administrators, our staff members, our support professionals. Thank you to our community leaders, our city council members, county commissioners, our other elected officials that are here. Thank you to our community college, Dr. Williams is here, Sandy's here, so our education community has gathered here tonight. So many people are in this room because we do this work together. We can't educate ourselves. It takes this family who is joining us tonight, but it also takes this village, and we are thankful that you're part of our village. Well, we have not yet arrived. We have much work to do, but ladies and gentlemen, we are well on the way, and good things are happening for the kids in Ector County ISD. Thank you very much for joining us.